Environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulation, and policies. Our group will be looking at different aspects of the environmental justice movement in the United States over time.
Youth organizing and leadership development are bringing new life and possibility to the environmental justice movement. Youth EJ organizations build new forms of facilitative, broad-based leadership structures. Facilitative leadership is a model in which the leader acts more as a facilitator than a decision maker, guiding and supporting the group to work together and make decisions. Youth environmental justice organizations support the leadership of youth, women, and immigrants in marginalized communities who are often silenced. By empowering marginalized communities, groups are actualizing a fundamental principle of environmental justice work that the people who are most impacted by environmental injustice should also lead the organizing. It's also important to bring up how the term white is used to depict not only icons of homes and families, but also the acting hands and arms at the center of the environmental justice movement. While this may be contrived as a simple opposition to the blackness of the threats looming above, within a social movement, discourse shaped by racialized experience, the graphic representation of agency as white against a foil of black and gray is worth considering. Therefore, while the environmental justice movement created a potent new discourse of rights, responsibilities, and social critique, it's also important to look at the political meaning of environmental justice itself, which remains a subject of ongoing debate. Our literature review also touches on youth environmental action in a fight for water quality. The Restored Habitat, Reclaim Vacant Lot, or Educational Festival around water quality is undoubtedly a valued outcome of environmental action. Of greatest value from an educational perspective, however, are the processes through which youth participate in creating those outcomes. Drawing on the multifaceted descriptions of purpose and success in practitioner stories, we can envision the relationship of young people's participation in environmental action to the development of democratic citizens and creation of sustainable communities. Therefore, it's really important for youth to understand that they are able to become agents of social change within their own community and that they understand that there is a potential in their life.
For the historical president of the environmental justice movement, or EJ, depending on the historian, some actually identify that environmental injustice began as early as European colonization, meaning that Native Americans are some of the first marginalized groups to suffer the impacts of environmental inequality. For the purposes of this analysis, we actually focused on the EJ movement as it transpired post-civil rights era. The two groups we focused on for the EJ movement are Poder and Yucca. The civil rights era was a critical time that led to the EJ movement. The EJ movement continued to combat social justice issues. However, it specifically targets how certain groups, often lower-class minorities, are subjected to disproportionate exposure of hazardous waste emissions and consequently suffer adverse health effects. Positionality determines how certain groups are impacted by the policies that shape the environment in which they live. One key event that initiated the EJ movement was in Kettleman City, California in 1988, where a large low-income Latino community was exposed to the largest toxic chemical waste dump west of the Mississippi. What essentially took place was the organizing of these communities who realized that they were being faced with very unfair living conditions, and they questioned the policies that allowed their communities to suffer such high concentrations of illness, premature births, and babies being born with deformity. After the success of the Kettleman City residents that were able to reform the policies that permitted that chemical waste dump to be there, this provided a model which helped launch other EJ activist groups. Eventually, in 1994, Executive Order 12898 was written and passed by President Clinton, and it directs how to identify populations that meet the criteria of environmental injustice and requires federal agencies to implement strategies to combat those injustices. This was created to help establish more access for public information and engage participation from oppressed communities. For our organizations we focused on, people organizing to demand environmental and economic rights is what the acronym PODER stands for. This group formed in 1991, and their mission focuses on improving the health and lived experiences of Latinos and other low-income members in the SF, Mission, and Excelsior District. Looking specifically more into youth development, PODER works with the Chinese Progressive Association. Together, they have a joint program called Common Roots. Common Roots is a program made up of youth members in either the CPA or PODER, and they help provide support towards any projects that are already implemented by PODER or CPA. Otherwise, they are free to create their own projects to help better influence and create an impact in their community. The other youth group we looked into was YUCA, which is located in Palo Alto, California. This organization formed in the spring of 1994, and it is made up of young people of color and encourages those youth to become activists in their community and provides a safe space for them to empower themselves and work on environmental and social justice issues in order to establish positive change through grassroots organizing.
For our Framing and Discourse section, I have analyzed both PODER's and YUCA's websites and referred to academic journals to gain a sense of the movement as a whole. Today, the environmental justice movement is a very inclusive movement that aims to include communities of color and low-income people, because these people are the most vulnerable to environmental injustices such as pollution and lack of affordable housing. Specifically, YUCA and PODER both believe that they should operate endogenously in the communities in which they serve. Each group recruits families or youth and empowers them to solve their own problems. Both organizations go against the dominant discourse that space is to be used for capital and wealth accumulation. Instead, try to work towards the use of space as places where families and youth can live and grow. They do this by actively advocating for and petitioning their local governments to change policy that will benefit their communities. For example, PODER is advocating for the use of San Francisco public land to be used for affordable housing and not for proposed luxury apartments. Additionally, in our interview with Jacqueline Gutierrez, we learned that PODER stands for a two-pronged approach to environmental justice, earth care and people care. Through this ideological approach, they believe they can reconnect people to power while nurturing the earth. Environmental justice discourse is rich in caring for communities, people, and the environment, and makes for a rich case study.
Our first leadership profile is of YUCA, which stands for Youth United for Community Action. YUCA is a grassroots community organization created, led, and ran by young people of color. Formed in the spring of 1994, YUCA's mission is to provide a safe space for young people to empower themselves and work on environmental and social justice issues to establish positive systemic change through grassroots community organizing. YUCA focuses on both environmental justice work and expanding opportunities to young people of color, often from low-income communities. Since 1994, YUCA has had a variety of successes in both environmental justice and expanding their organization. One of Yuca's most notable achievements was when they were able to successfully shut down ROMIC, a hazardous waste toxic plant in the community of East Palo Alto. Though it took 11 years of vigorous work, Yuccan community members forced the Department of Toxic Substances Control to issue a shutdown order of ROMIC after a series of workplace and safety violations that threatened community and workers. In addition, Yucca is constantly working on improving their organization. Yucca launched Fire Fellowship, a program that provides youth of color paid internships with community organizations throughout the Bay Area. Interns can expect to work in areas of environmental and social change. Currently, Yucca remains committed to leadership development, community organizing, and coalition building. Our second leadership profile focuses on PODER, which stands for People Organizing to Demand Environmental and Economic Rights. PODER is an intergenerational organization that works with families, adults, youth, and seniors with the mission to organize with Latino immigrants, families, and youth to put into practice people-powered solutions that are locally based, community-led, and environmentally just. Since their start in 1991, PODER has worked to improve the health and the lives of Latino immigrants and other low-income families of color in San Francisco's Mission and Excelsior districts and other neighborhoods. PODER focuses on a variety of issues which include community planning, affordable housing, and fostering local living economies in order to nurture healthy, thriving neighborhoods. PODER has had multiple successful campaigns throughout the years. Healthy, Stable Neighborhoods is a campaign that got its start in 1993 by passing a comprehensive environmental lead poisoning prevention law and program for City and County of San Francisco. In 2014, Healthy Stable Neighborhoods was able to secure the unanimous adoption by the Board of Supervisors of the Unclaimed Bicycle Ordinance with other organizations. This ordinance created a partnership with the police department, other city departments, and community-based organizations to receive, repair, and distribute unclaimed bikes to low-income youth and families throughout San Francisco. PODER believes in the power of the youth because they are a developing generation of leaders that have the ability to transform their neighborhoods and city both now and in the future. Supporting these young leaders can develop cultural solidarity, learning critical thinking, and organizing skills. Both PODER and its youth members can do amazing work for environmental and economic justice and immigrant rights.
In looking at victories and failures of the environmental justice movement, I will be focusing on two environmental justice groups, PODER and Yucca, and analyzing their key successes and obstacles that they face. One of Yucca's many successes was the shutdown of ROMIC Environmental Technologies, a hazardous waste plant located in East Palo Alto. The facility spilled 4,000 gallons of chemicals into nearby wetlands and was under numerous dangerous violations. Yucca members embarked on an 11-year fight against ROMIC. They investigated the plant and found they were in violation of numerous safety and workplace laws. Yucca's tireless investigations and protests on the plant were eventually successful as the Department of Toxic Substances shut down ROMIC Environmental Technologies in 2007. Yucca did not stop there. They were also successful in passing an ordinance requiring formal city council approval in East Palo Alto for any hazardous waste use in the area. Currently, a large obstacle Yucca is facing is gentrification in the East Palo Alto area as rents rise due to an increase in home values. This increase in home values is largely due to the work that Yucca and other grassroots organizations has done in improving their community. Yucca is fighting to protect East Palo Alto residents by encouraging rent control through the creation of policies and practices that empower tenants. My group had the pleasure of interviewing with Jacqueline Gutierrez, a youth program coordinator with PODER. During our interview, she expressed her excitement over the success PODER has just achieved in creating a 5-acre community-run farm in the Excelsior district of San Francisco. The farm is set to be open this year and will serve the community through providing fresh fruits and vegetables and creating an outdoor classroom where adults and children can deepen their connection to the earth together. Jacqueline explained that PODER's greatest obstacle is the city policies they face, which make it very easy to displace residents. She stated that these policies only serve a lucky few and that PODER is working to bring awareness and transparency to these policies and working to change them so that they serve the community at large.
I found out three main characteristics of leadership development in youth environmental justice organizations. The first one is youth organizing. Young people facilitate workshops and develop campaigns and plan activities. The next one is critical thinking skills. Young people critically analyze their communities and social structure from their own perspectives. And the last one is anger at social injustice. Young people have a sense of unfairness, which is the important first steps in order to become goal-oriented leaders.
Podera and Yucca are fighting for marginalized community civil rights through environmental activism and concerns of hazardous environmental living conditions. In this section, I've analyzed other social movements that Podera and Yucca have facilitated through their environmental justice mission. To supplement the affordable and fair housing movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, Yucca works with other organizations that focus on tenant immigrant rights, such as the ETB-EPA coalition, where Yucca helped pass the Tenant Protection Ordinance. Podera has helped facilitate the affordable housing mission for marginalized communities in San Francisco by supporting the Housing Bond Proposition A. Podera works with organizations to provide accessible tools to supplement marginalized communities and raise awareness for other social movements such as fair immigration reform, immigrant rights, and women's liberation movement through organizations such as CIFLIN, Mujeres Unidas y Activas, California Calls, and San Francisco Rising. Yucca also supports the immigrant rights movement and works with organizations such as Foundation for College Education, Peninsula Interfaith Action, and Community Legal Services East Palo Alto. These organizations allow people to have a voice in legislation and policy. Podera and Yucca have worked to utilize their youth organizations to supplement other social movements that have been impacted disproportionately in relation to their environmental justice movement.
The environmental justice movement primarily uses art and media to tell tales of environmental destruction. This image is used by several organizations to show how the earth is destroyed through pollution. It is a powerful image because it shows the real effects of contaminating the environment. Images like this catch attention, motivating people to act for change. These images are one of the factors that has caused large environmental organizations to gain a high number of followers on social media. For example, the EPA has about 10,000 Facebook followers and 360,000 Twitter followers. The Sierra Club has 195,000 Twitter followers and 60,000 Instagram followers. Yucca, on the other hand, has an inactive Facebook account and less than 70 Instagram followers. Podera has about 200 followers on Twitter and no Instagram. Unlike the broader environmental justice movement, Podera and Yucca use media and art for advocacy rather than environmental justice. These organizations utilize images of youth on the field advocating for change. They do not necessarily show what the youth are fighting for. Although such images are great for motivating youth, it does not address the broader environmental justice issues. Podera and Yucca should attempt to utilize media and art in similarity to the larger movement if they wish to truly address environmental issues. They should increase their social media following and enhance the quality of their images.